You are watching the New American Media. Live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special Thursday edition of the Unhappy Hour here on thenewamericanmedia.com. I'm your host, Brian Engelman. Hello, howdy, hi. Thanks for following us today. Thanks for checking this out if you're listening live. We appreciate it. We certainly appreciate it, and you can go ahead and contact us. Send us a direct message on Twitter. We're at American_media_. And if you're not following us, please follow us there. Like our page on Facebook, The New American Media. Go ahead and check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, especially if you're listening to this after the fact. Click subscribe at youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. This is the Unhappy Hour, the only Los Angeles-based Cleveland-centric sports show that I'm currently aware of. Welcome, thanks for joining us again, and we're going to do a special edition episode of Strictly Browns. It's where we try to speak about the Browns specifically. And I had a friend send me a video. This is from the one, the only Mike Polk Jr. This is posted on Cleveland Thundercat. This was from 2 days ago. And I don't know if you've seen the documentary about the 1995 Cleveland Browns, but we're going to play this for you, and maybe we'll talk about it in just a minute. Here we go.
Hey, Cleveland sports fans! Did you miss the unbelievably depressing documentary Cleveland 95? Well, don't worry, because the NFL Network and ESPN are joining forces for an exciting television event called Cleveland Night. That's right. It's an entire evening of programming simulcast on both networks with the sole purpose of depressing the out of America's longest-suffering sports fans. It kicks off with another airing of Cleveland 95, so that Browns fans can relive the trauma of watching their beloved team leave the city. Had you almost forgotten how terrible that was? Well, not so fast! Let us open those wounds and pour in some misery. Directly following that, we're going to rebroadcast The Decision. Remember that, Cleveland? That was the night that LeBron James took a dump on your city in front of the whole country. Wasn't that awful? Well, you're gonna watch it again. But we're just getting warmed up, because up next, we're just going to keep showing you the drive, the shot, and the fumble on a loop again and again in slow motion set to music by Adele.
Don't you remember?
But wait, it's still not over. We're going to follow that up with a full hour of footage of Chris Berman urinating on the statue of city founder Moses Cleveland while he laughs like a little girl. After that, we're going to lighten things up by showing the movie Major League. But not the good one, Major League 2. That's right, the sequel. It's terrible. Then it's a half hour of pictures of Art Modell holding the Lombardi Trophy. And then it's The Decision again, but this time it's the Techno Remix.
Take my talents to South Beach. Take my talents to South Beach.
So tune in this Friday for Cleveland Night, because kicking a city when it's down is not only hilarious, it's great TV. Booyah!
All right, so Brandon, I'm not sure if you were able to hear all of that or not, but this is Mike Polk Jr. just kind of making a little commentary on the misery of the new special Cleveland 95, where they show all of what happened behind the scenes. Have you had a chance to see the series yet, the new special?
No, I've not had a chance to see it, and to be completely honest, it's like I guess I've not had an overwhelming interest to see it, because it's like, I know what I felt like back then. I know how just confusing it all was to me back then, and befuddling. It's basically one of those things where, it's like, if you shot yourself in the foot one time and you knew it hurt, why are you going to keep shooting yourself there? It's like, so basically it's, I guess I don't need an hour-long TV show to remind me about how crummy I felt, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty miserable. This is Brandon Odell. Brandon joins us every week, just about every week during football season to talk on Strictly Browns. We were pretty close. We were predicting a Giants upset that the Browns were going to win. I think you picked 20-10 I think I had 24-17 or something like that. I forget off the top of my head. But after the first quarter, the Browns were up 14-0. It was looking good for a while. What happened last week?
Well, unfortunately, I can only speak for what I heard on the radio because I was driving back from Columbus during the game. So, basically what I heard was, that first couple of drives, it really seemed like they were starting to catch lightning in a bottle, starting to really put some things together. And, I don't think that, well, first of all, let's tip our cap to the New York Giants, who, are the Super Bowl champions and are a superior team in every aspect of the game. Whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, they're light years ahead of where we want to be. Just imagine if we had the kind of defensive linemen that they're able to rotate in and out on a consistent basis on our team. Any one of those defensive linemen, whether you're talking about OC, whether you're talking about Tuck, whether you're talking about Jason Pierre-Paul, any of those three would be the best player on our defense, and they have three of them that they're able to rotate in and out, and as a result, they're able to have a great deal of success, and they're able to put consistent heat on the quarterback. Now, overall, I guess, like I said, from what I heard, Brandon Weeden did a pretty good job and the offensive line did a pretty good job of dealing with the pressure. They were able to run the ball. The offense wasn't necessarily the problem. Now, with that said, Weeden made a couple more of his boneheaded mistakes, threw a couple very costly interceptions. And, that ultimately was what was able to, I guess, be the deciding point in giving, the Giants that little edge. But, overall, I don't know if you can point to one thing and say that's what happened, other than saying that the Giants were a superior team, and where, I think we got a lead and probably were wondering what we were supposed to do with it. I think the Giants fans or the Giants players said, hey, we're down 14-0. It's time to get our act together and get this going. And once they did, they put their foot on the gas and they didn't let up, which is what good teams do.
Well, I would say some of the key turning points, definitely when Josh Cribbs was stripped, that was really a huge swing in the wrong direction there. Obviously, the interceptions by Weeden. The line did a good job blocking. You are correct. I still think this is another loss that's directly attributed to the Joe Hayden stupidity. Yeah, I know he's just one guy, but that whole defense looks totally different when he's out there. The secondary isn't a complete wreck. But I did like that Weeden is putting it out there. I've seen him make some fantastic throws, and I think the game will start slowing down for him. Unfortunately, I think the Browns might still be winless by the time he gets his act together and gets it figured out. But Trent Richardson still looks good. And I talked with my buddy Zach last week, and he said the Browns are a wide receiver, a veteran that can teach the other guys how to play. A wide receiver, one offensive lineman, and a head coach away from being really, really good. And so if you put Phil Taylor back on the team and DeQuell Jackson's healthy and Joe Hayden's in there, and you got Weeden figuring out the game a little bit more with Trent Richardson, Josh Gordon had 2 touchdowns. He looked like the player worth giving up a second-round pick for, a high second-round pick. He looked great out there, and Weeden's the type of guy that can get him 60, 70-yard touchdown passes. I was very happy to see some of that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, Gordon, and I did see the replays of his touchdown catches, and, he certainly showed the ability to get separation. Now, the, Giants secondary isn't exactly the strength of their team. The strength of their team is the fact that they get such a great push on the defensive line that, the secondary is able to kind of gamble a little bit more and be more of an opportunistic, secondary. And so, the secondary isn't necessarily the strength of their team or anything like that, but they have good players back there, and these guys are seasoned pros who won a Super Bowl. They had a first-round pick, Prince Kimura, however you say his last name, that is starting to finally come back from injury, and there's some good players back there, but either way, Gordon showed the ability to get a little bit of separation. What I want to start seeing now from Gordon is, okay, he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's all that he had. Let's start to see him get 7 or 8 catches for 120 yards and 2 scores. That's what I want to start seeing from him, is to just be that player that the defense has to respect all the time, and not just be kind of a guy that you throw out there for a couple of big plays.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. I don't know how it's going to play out. We have the Bengals coming up. This is round 2. I believe Joe Hayden, he's going to be back for this one. Am I doing the math correctly, or am I a week off?
I mean, everything that he's back for this game, and supposedly he is, just chomping at the bit to get back out there and to really be able to show his teammates that, he's going to let his play on the field be able to be his apology, and he's apologized profusely to his teammates for everything. Either way, we've talked about the I'm trying to think of the right word, the hypocrisy of him being suspended for 4 games for doing some Adderall in a summer night at a party versus a guy who can get a 110-mile-per-hour felony speeding ticket, drunken driving, and not be suspended. So, it is ridiculous that the punishment just absolutely did not fit the crime one bit. But either way, it is what it is, and he's going to be back out there. And I really do believe that he wants to prove to his teammates just how much he wants to make it up to them out there on the field.
Well, talk about making it up for them out there on the field. The preseason began a little rocky for the Browns this year, especially for number 3 overall pick. Remember, the Browns traded from number 4 to number 3 because they were so worried that this guy wouldn't be there, and they needed him after getting rid of Peyton Hillis. What are your thoughts on our running back, Trent Richardson, who's really starting to get warmed up, it looks like? It really seems like the game's starting to open up for him a little bit.
Well, I would say number 1, it's the fact that we need to be able to find a way to keep him involved in the offense during all 4 quarters. We've had to put too much of this game on the shoulders of Brandon Weeden, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we've been behind in some of these games, and so the natural instinct when you're behind is to go ahead and throw the ball. Brandon Weeden shouldn't be throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a ball game. I believe I saw a statistic that said he's thrown the second most passes in the NFL so far this year, and his completion percentage certainly speaks to the fact that he still needs his seasoning. Trent Richardson, what did he have? About 85 yards on only like 17 or 18 carries. Had 4 catches for like 40 yards or something like that. He definitely is the centerpiece of the offense. He needs to be the centerpiece that Brandon Weeden then is going to play off of, rather than Brandon Weeden being the centerpiece and Trent Richardson being a kind of a supplemental piece.
Yeah, that's a good point there, because you can manage a game and win. Is it going to be a gunslinging fight? Is it the Drew Brees kind of air it up, Aaron Rodgers? Although neither of them are doing well this year. It's kind of strange, some of the really good teams that are not looking really good in the early season. Would you say, though, right now that the Browns are the best winless team in the NFL?
Yeah, that's pretty easy to say, since that we're the only winless team in the NFL, I guess. I would say that we're the best winless team that the NFL has to offer, absolutely.
When do you think we're going to get our first win? How bad is this going to be? And let's just extrapolate this. Based on the first 5 games, one could assume they may go winless the entire season. If they have the number 1 pick, would you draft a young quarterback to be the face of your franchise, Brandon?
Okay, well, let's take those questions one at a time. First of all, when it comes to when they're going to get their first win, I'll be completely honest with you. I think they're going to come out and get it this week in Cincinnati, or against Cincinnati, because it's in Cleveland. I think that these guys, some of these young guys like Weeden and Richardson just are absolutely just fed up with this, and I don't think that neither of them are used to the losing. I think that this is the week that we get that win. Out of any of the teams in the AFC North, we've at least historically shown the ability to be able to sometimes beat the Bengals, and then rarely beat the Ravens and never beat the Steelers, basically. So, I think that that this is the time that we get that first AFC North win. I don't think too many people would be surprised if we beat the Bengals this week in the national media, or just talking about local media as well. I mean, this is a hungry team. They are young players, and you have a really solid nucleus of players to build around. As far as your second question, what do you do? If you get the number one overall pick in the draft, that is a really difficult question. I guess it depends on how in love you are with Brandon Weeden, but you don't draft a first-round quarterback one year to draft a first-round quarterback the following year.
Tell that to Cam Newton in the
Well, Jimmy Clausen wasn't a first-round pick. Jimmy Clausen was a guy who was picked, I think, maybe, 37th or something like that.
Oh, okay. He was second round. Gotcha.
He wasn't a first-round pick. He was a guy that a lot of people thought had first-round talent, but was not a first-round pick. And so that's definitely a distinction that you have to make there. And especially talking about, Jimmy Clausen was drafted in the final year of the old rookie pay scale. And so he was paid, let me rephrase that. If he was a first-round pick that year, he would have been making an exorbitant amount of money, and the Panthers probably would have looked a lot more seriously at trying to trade that pick instead of picking Cam Newton. Because he was a second-rounder, the money was far less. So, the way things are right now, monetarily, it wouldn't kill us if we did draft another quarterback in the first round, but I don't necessarily think that is the answer. I think that, you look at the model that St. Louis put into place by showing some faith in Sam Bradford, and by then trading that top pick, well, I guess the second pick it was, for a boatload of other picks. And if we had the top overall pick right now, I mean, there's a lot that can change between now and then.
Right.
Looking like it's probably going to be the West Virginia quarterback, Geno Smith, who's having a very Robert Griffin III type of year.
Absolutely.
And is opening himself up to all sorts of Heisman talk right now. And he has the size, strength, speed. He has all the things that you want. But the difference is I don't know what his intangibles are. Whereas the intangibles are very clear. I mean, Robert Griffin III is a very well-spoken young man, or man, I guess you could say. He is just has a charisma, a swagger, and doesn't and has a good upbringing, which helped him to have a good head on his shoulders. Geno Smith, I'm not sure. I don't know what his upbringing was like, but you look at someone like Vince Young, that basically was a player who was from a very poor urban area, and made some very poor financial decisions. You look at someone like Michael Vick. Some of these quarterbacks that come from very rough backgrounds. Sometimes they have a hard time being able to handle the mental side of the game, and they have a tough time being able to deal with adversity. Now, Michael Vick has gotten a lot better at that over time, but that doesn't mean that he certainly hasn't had his share of trouble. So either way, you look at Geno Smith. Matt Barkley is a player that was looked upon as being a surefire number one. Came back to school, hurt his draft stock a little bit. So I don't know what to make of that. But if you get the top pick somehow, which certainly does look likely at this point, you trade that pick, you see what you can get out of it, and you realize that there are a lot of other needs on this team. They need to stop the run. They've been trying for years to find a formula to stop the run. They need to draft another highly rated defensive lineman. They need to draft another highly rated linebacker. I would say that those are a couple of great places to start as far as what this team really needs.
Well, did you notice the tweet that came out from Ohio State, the third-string quarterback, where he tweeted out, this is Cardale Jones, third-string quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes, said, why should we have to go to class if we came here to play football? We ain't come to play school. Classes are pointless. That seems like a guy with a good head on his shoulders, right?
Product of Glenville High School.
Hooray. Well, let me talk about quarterbacks that having the intangibles or not. Brandon Weeden is a player right now. You're seeing he started off horrible in the beginning of the season. You're seeing sparks of, okay, this guy could be good. He makes a lot of good plays. He just has to eliminate the horrible plays. We're talking 5 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a 64 quarterback rating. Is there any scenario where Colt McCoy would see playing time, or because this is he's a 28-year-old rookie, you got to play him because he's 28. Is there any way that you could see Colt McCoy getting snaps if Weeden keeps making dumb decisions, or he's a first-round draft pick, you ride out the season and hope he makes it through healthy?
So let me ask you this. You say 5 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Yes.
If you took that Philadelphia Eagles game out of the equation, you're talking about a player who had who is 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Would that be something that would be more acceptable to you? I mean, if you take that first game out of it, he's thrown as many touchdowns as he has picks.
Okay, all right. So you take out rookie jitters. So now he's 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64 rating, completing 55% of his passes, and 0 wins. He was really hard on himself after this one, just saying it's unacceptable to be throwing these picks. And we've seen throughout the year, these are some pretty bad picks. These are like Vinny Testaverde, colorblind, closing your eyes and seeing what happens, Derek Anderson type fiasco interceptions. These are pretty bad picks. Yeah, okay, it would be better 5 and 5. I say we have to ride it out, but at some point it's like, man, if I never gave up on Colt McCoy. I thought if you gave him a running back, a right tackle, and somebody that could catch the ball, the guy could engineer wins, and he might not make those dumb mistakes. We're seeing kind of a derp experience out of the quarterback position on the Browns. Is that because he's a rookie, or is that because that's who we drafted? That's what we're going to get from him. I don't know. Time will tell. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think that you're going to see anything, barring injury. I don't think you're going to see Colt McCoy. I think that Shermer would be the guy to go before Weeden would, because I think that Haslam sees more potential in Weeden than he does in Colt McCoy. So I think Shermer would be the one, and they would try to find some coaches who can get something a little bit better out of Weeden before you see Weeden go on the bench.
Do you think they see more potential in Weeden than they see in Pat Shermer and Mike Holmgren?
Well, sure, Holmgren's gone one way or the other. I mean, that's just, let's be honest with ourselves. He's a lame duck right now himself. Shermer, I just don't know what to make of the guy. He doesn't have I don't think that he has the it factor to be an NFL head coach, and he certainly doesn't know how to be able to react to the media. If you've ever gotten a chance to see one of his post-game interviews, I mean, it's just, and I understand about being angry, and I understand about, hating losing, but, he just doesn't seem like he knows how to deal with people.
Well, that's what Bill Belichick, I mean, that's what I remember about him during his tenure in Cleveland, and look how that turned out.
Well, Belichick also didn't get a second chance with the Browns and ended up having to go somewhere else and be a defensive coordinator for a couple of years before he even got another head coaching gig. And maybe that's what Pat Shermer needs.
Well, we've talked about it. And they have, who do they got? They have Brad Childress sitting in the wings and Dick Duran. I mean, they have former head coaches sitting in this team. I mean, officially in the next week, I think Jimmy Haslam's going to officially take over control of the Cleveland Browns franchise. I think. What'd you say?
On Tuesday, that'll officially happen.
I mean, if you take over a 1-5 or 0-6 football team, do you fire the head coach, Brandon? Put yourself in his shoes. He just bought a product. It's winless, 0-6 or 1-5. Either finally turning around with a bunch of young kids, and this is the right team to move them forward, or so what would you do? Would you fire him, or would you ride out the season and just kind of evaluate?
Tony Grossi from the ESPN Cleveland.com was talking about how maybe you wait until the bye week, and I could certainly see the merit of doing that. But like I said, Shermer just hasn't really shown much of anything as far as the ability to be ready to be a head coach. So I say get rid of him.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. And that's the reason I bring up that number one draft pick scenario, because with a new owner, and if you're changing the GM and you're changing your strategy and you're changing your head coach and you're changing the direction you're going, that is one other person's vision at that point. I mean, Jerry Jones would make his move depending on what he wanted to do. He wouldn't give a damn what the previous administration had to say. They're in charge now. So, is it possible? Yeah, it's very possible if they get enamored with this Geno Smith or somebody else, that they go a different direction, get another coach and get another face of the franchise. But I'm seeing nice signs out of Brandon Weeden. I'm liking the Trent Richardson pick. Mitchell Schwartz is settling in. Alex Mack has been solid while Sanchez has struggled, and Joe Thomas is an anchor. Josh Gordon shows glimpses. We need a veteran wide receiver, but we need to spend money in free agency, something they didn't do last year, trying to keep that payroll low, knowing that they're trying to sell the franchise, and sure enough, they did. So would you go after Bill Cowher? If you're Jimmy Haslam, would you reach out to Bill Cowher again and plead with him to come run your team, especially with the Steelers connection that they would have?
I just don't think that Cowher really has a passion to be a head coach anymore, which, hey, that's certainly his choice. So, I think the Cowher thing is just basically a pipe dream. And, let's be honest with ourselves. There were a lot of years there where Cowher was looked upon as being a guy that just simply couldn't win the big one, and so Cowher, he's not coming to Cleveland. I don't see that happening. I would say that John Gruden would be a more likely candidate if you're talking about, trying to land a big fish. John Gruden was fired from his job. So, how much do you want him in there? So,
well, we'll see.
I don't know what the official choice is with the head coach, but I definitely don't think that you're going to see Bill Cowher on the Cleveland Browns sideline anytime soon.
Well, I'm not sure what the latest is then, as far as who we will see there with Massaquoi and with Benjamin. I don't know if we're anticipating them coming back. Have you heard anything there?
Everything that I have heard is the fact that both of them have been sitting out, all week, and I would probably venture to guess that neither will be suiting up for the Browns on Sunday, unfortunately, but I think that's the case. And that is the truly unfortunate part, is that Massaquoi was really starting to show some flashes of the player that we thought he would be when we drafted him in the high second round.
Yeah, that's been the story of his career over these past few years. It's a little some disappointment mixed in with, hey, here we go, and then a setback. Disappointment, some anticipation, and then a setback. It's really the pattern that's developing with Mohamed Massaquoi. How many years is he in? He's several years into his career now.
This is his fourth year in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, this should be the heyday. This should be kind of getting your act together and getting going, and he just can't seem to get it going. What do you think about the Bengals? You already predicted this is the week that the Browns win their first game. What do you think score-wise?
I don't know. I mean, the main thing is this offense. We've seen flashes, but we've also seen incredible inconsistency, and that goes for the defensive side of the ball too. So, they have the ability to string together four quarters. They truly do. And they have players in the skill positions that know how to win, that have won in the past. So it's just a matter of I guess, mind over matter a little bit to try to get over that hump. If they can be able to, the Cincinnati Bengals are not the best team in football. The Cincinnati Bengals are not as good of a team as the New York Giants. The Cincinnati Bengals are not as good of a team as the Baltimore Ravens. The Cincinnati Bengals are not as good of a team as the Philadelphia Eagles. And so the only other two games that you have there, they're probably a better team than Buffalo. The Browns played their poorest game of the season against Buffalo. And, and the Browns, were digging themselves out of a hole all day when they were playing Cincinnati the first time after they gave up that punt return the first time. So, the game is there to be able to play toe-to-toe with that team. It's a matter of whether or not they're able to do it. My opinion, I think that, the Browns are going to do everything that they can to try to keep Trent Richardson on the field more consistently. And to be able to focus on the running game more consistently. And, Trent Richardson gets the ball in the end zone. We've seen that. And, there's certainly no one in Cleveland that is pining for Peyton Hillis again. Hillis can't even get on the field in Kansas City. And geez, you want to talk about a team that's in turmoil. KC with their savior, Romeo Crennel, yeah, they have a win, but, this is a team that's getting blown out of the field practically every other game. And, so I think they have bigger problems than the Browns do right now. And, they have more veteran players. They have a number one wide receiver in Dwayne Bowe. They have a number one running back that is consistent for the last few years besides his injury in Jamal Charles. So, that's a team that should be better. But either way, final prediction, I'm going to say, they've shown the ability to score 27 points. I'm going to say they'll probably score maybe 21. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns, one running, one passing from Trent Richardson. I'm going to say that there's going to be the other touchdown is going to come from Josh Cribbs. We're going to see him, score on some sort of a gimmicky type of reverse play or something like that. And, Weeden, I think he's going to probably have a normal day for him, have 1 touchdown, 1 pick kind of a thing. I don't think he's going to throw as costly of a pick. No pick is good, but I don't think it's going to be a backbreaker. And, maybe the defense rises to the occasion with Joe Hayden back. So let's say Browns 21. We'll say the Cincinnati Bengals, how about 17?
Well, we sure have seen some hiccups from Josh Cribbs and the special teams, haven't we, Brandon?
Well, that last game where 2 games ago where Josh Cribbs practically got beheaded and knocked him out of the game. You could see how, he was unconscious. You can't blame him for fumbling that ball. The game this last week versus the Giants, yeah, you can give him a little bit of flack for that. But, when a guy is literally knocked unconscious, can you really blame him for fumbling the football?
No, absolutely not. Let me say this, though, before we wrap this Browns thing up here. The way the schedule may work out, we may be unable to do a Indianapolis Colts show. So looking forward to the Colts. I know it's a little further out. You got Andrew Luck. You got a rebuilding Colts team. Do you see another winnable game there?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Why wouldn't they be able to?
Hey, I agree. I don't know. I just want you to elaborate and sound smart for a minute.
Sorry, I'm trying to be quiet because I think I may have been able to put my young one to sleep, and now she's stirring a little bit. The Colts are a young team facing a lot of the same issues as the Browns, but they have better skill position players, and Andrew Luck is clearly a superior quarterback to most of the starting veterans in the league, much less the rookies. You have Reggie Wayne, who decided to stick around and looks like he made the right decision. So they have that clear veteran number one who can really show some of those young guys how to play. So, but the Colts are a team that has a lot of holes on defense, especially, and that's a team that the Browns could beat too. I'm certainly probably going to eat my words after they're 0-7, but the Browns could certainly see themselves at 2-5 by the time we end up, touching base once again.
Okay, well, let's jump into overtime. What do you think about – oh, by the way, overtime is where we switch it up to anything. It's more of a grab bag. All right, overtime. What do you think about Terry Francona joining the Cleveland Indians?
I like the choice. I mean, Francona is a solid manager. Until we can find a way to put a consistent major league product on the field, from a talent standpoint, I don't think the manager really makes much of a difference. So, but I like the pick. There's certainly, nothing wrong at all with putting Terry Francona in charge of your baseball team.
Yeah, I agree that it's like giving a mechanic a job. Hey, fix this car, but we're going to keep the tools. You got to surround him with talent. You got to make sure that the garage has the right equipment in there. Nobody can win. Manny Acta, he started off strong and he miserably faded 2 years in a row. So I'm whatever.
First of this year, let's be honest with ourselves. Last year, what did they finish at 500 or something like that? Far worse this year.
Oh, this was miserable. What did they win? 1 or 2 games in an entire month? What was that? June or July?
Or something like that.
Oh,
it was pretty bad in August. So, either way, Acta, nice guy, probably not the greatest manager, or at least for this ball club. It's the same way with like Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel is a nice guy, probably not the best fit for the team. So just because you're a player's coach doesn't mean that you can coach the players.
Well, what do you think about the number 8 ranked in the AP Ohio State Buckeyes under first-year coach Urban Meyer, 6-0?
Well, let's put it this way. I think they're improving right now. I think they're getting to be a better team now than they were at the beginning of the year. But, let's be honest, it's been another underwhelming year, and probably a more underwhelming year than most in the Big Ten. And the Buckeyes are the best team in the conference, and they're not even going to be able to play for any kind of bowl or anything like that. It's quite possible that Penn State and Ohio State could be the 1 and 2 top teams in their side, and what are they, in the Legends or the Leaders? I think they're in the Leaders division. They could end up being the top 2 teams. It could end up being the 3rd team in their side of the of the bracket or whatever that could end up actually getting to go to the Big Ten championship game.
It's crazy. I read a story where they said had Ohio State just self-reported and done a self-imposed bowl ban last year, what did they finish, 6-7? They could have gotten this over with and could be bowl eligible this year. And you're talking about an undefeated top 10 team where, I mean, let's face it, the only other ranked opponent is the last game of the year, number 25 Michigan, and that's not looking tough. I mean, that's barely in the top 25. You got through number 21 Nebraska, spanking them 63-38, squeaked by Michigan State by a point. I mean, this season is totally set up for the Buckeyes to run the table, but they can't do anything with it. No bowl, no championship, no Big Ten title, and it's a little frustrating, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. But I guess to be honest with you, knowing that this was what we were in for from the beginning of the year, I've not let myself get all that frustrated about it, just because it's like, what's the point? That there's nothing you can do about it, so might as well just enjoy the games that you do have.
I would agree with you there, because at least we're back to the consistent winning product that the Buckeyes have been for the past 15, 20 years, pretty much. They're a consistent winning franchise. They are very good. They're consistent, and being a Browns fan, we're not used to anything but consistent losing, for the better part of 2 decades. So it is nice to see them back. And finally, any thoughts on the NBA season? You're starting to hear the NBA rumblings. Are you getting excited for the new rebuilt Cleveland Cavaliers, or are you maybe a year away from still trying to put your heart back out there again and root for those guys? What are your thoughts on the Cavs?
I guess, Kyrie Irving had that injury. Let's see how well he comes back from that. And, that'll be a big thing for me, is to see where he is at physically. And besides that, I mean, Tristan Thompson, a young, solid player. I guess I don't know what all they are going to have with this Dion Waiters. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen with the Cavs, but I don't see them being a team that can be any better than maybe like an 8 seed or something like that, and that's probably being optimistic. So yeah, I think they're a couple more years away, but I mean, I think that they're going in the right direction at least, and I think that Kyrie Irving is a good piece to be able to build around. Certainly beats anything that the Indians have to be able to build around right now. So so I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, and it's overtime. I missed on my attempt. You're the field goal kicker, Brandon. You have a chance to win this one, or we go into double overtime. You have any interest in handicapping the vice presidential debates tonight for double overtime, or do you win it in simply overtime?
Let's put it this way, Brian, and you're as staunch a political activist as they come, I guess, and no matter who wins, we lose. So I think that's the moral of that story.
All right, I think you won it. You definitely nailed that field goal. We can agree on that point. No matter who wins, we lose. All right. Okay, well, Brandon, that's all I got for today. I appreciate you coming on the program again. Any final words other than you're now starting to become infamous? We're going to make bumper stickers. Well, it's really a standard phrase, but you have any other thoughts to leave us with today, good sir?
Well, I will say this, Brian, and consider this, a bit of flattery. I was on speakerphone while I was feeding my daughter, and it was your soothing voice that gently rocked her to sleep. So, perhaps you should consider, possibly, who knows, maybe putting out a Bob Ross tribute album or something like that.
Well, I think there's a political joke to be made there about politics putting people to sleep, and make a nice little segue, tie it up in a neat little ribbon, and walk away from that, but I'm not clever enough to handle that for now. But yes, Brandon, I'm very happy to know that your fatherhood experience is going well. I'm very happy for you and your family. So I'm glad she finds this voice enjoyable, although I'm getting a little concerned that I need to ramp it up a little bit, drink a Red Bull so I don't come out too soothing to put the radio audience to sleep. That might not be a good idea, B. So I will think about that from here on out. I guess it's time for your catchphrase, Brandon, and we're out of here.
What is my catchphrase?
If anyone needs me, I'll be in my room.
What is that from?
Oh, really? That was Lisa Simpson, where they all came in with their catchphrases, and they all kept looking at her like, what is your catchphrase? If anyone wants me, I'll be in my room. Come on, you gotta put some of those back on and laugh a little. No, you always leave us with the same tagline on your outro.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Hey, had a good time. Take it easy. All my best to you and yours.
All right, take care, buddy. That is Brandon Odell, good pal of mine. Yeah, it's nice watching the Buckeyes. They are getting better. Yeah, they are a rough team being coached to wins. And plus, I mean, Michigan State, Nebraska, okay, a little bit of competition there. Cal was a one-touchdown game. Pretty much smacked Miami of Ohio and Nebraska, putting up 56 and 63 consecutively. But, man, especially with an 0-5 Browns season, it's unfortunately not shocking. Unfortunately, it is not shocking that's the record that the Browns have. But at least the Buckeyes are giving us something to watch, which makes me incredibly happy. Because the Buckeyes have been my consistent football team that has not let me down as much. Okay, of course, for all of my rooting and cheering over many decades, several decades. Okay, a couple decades. I think it's technically a few, being 3. Yes, they've delivered the only championship in my lifetime. Back when Jim Tressel and Maurice Claret and the guys got a championship over Miami. That was fantastic. Loved it. Yes, they've let me down a bunch, but that's the type of football that I grew up with in high school. I mean, my junior and senior year, our football teams were undefeated 2 years in a row. Went to the state championship junior year, second round of playoffs senior year. I like winning. I'm used to winning. I like winning. That's what you're supposed to do. The Browns don't understand how to do it. They can't figure it out. The Buckeyes have figured it out. Are they always national champion? No. No, they're not. But you're only going to get one of those each year, but you're going to have many great Buckeye teams, and you have. So it's nice to see them back. All right, Brandon makes a good point. What is Brandon Weeden if you take away that horrible first game against the Eagles? 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions? All right. Pedestrian statistics, but he's getting better. I mean, he's getting some long touchdown passes to Josh Gordon, and I think we're going to see even more of that. The line's starting to gel. Trent Richardson's getting healthy, and they're trusting him back there. Joe Hayden's coming back. Phil Taylor's coming back. I really think the Browns are going to be a dangerous team by Week 8. I really do. They could be 2-5. I think these are 2 winnable games for sure. Let's see if they're able to bring it home. I could sure go for a win. I'm getting tired of this whole halfway through the season you keep rooting for losses so you get a better draft pick. I've never been a believer in that. I've never been a big believer of, well, if you're going to stink, what was that? They said suck for luck. You know, try to be the worst team so you can get the best quarterback. I don't know. We've been playing that game, top 5 draft pick game, for over a decade now. I'm getting tired of it. Just win. Learn how to win. Learn how to compete. Learn how to win. Learn how to win consistently. So, well, the consistent thing is that we talk about the Browns here on thenewamericanmedia.com on the Unhappy Hour, especially here on Strictly Browns. Special thanks to Brandon Odell for joining us today. As I mentioned, we may be off the following week when the Browns take on the Indianapolis Colts. So if that's the case, follow Twitter. We're going to keep going there. Maybe we'll do a report on thenewamericanmedia.com. We shall see. The Browns certainly let a possible win slip through their fingertips against the Giants. A couple of mistakes and it was over. That's a very good team. You can't make mistakes against a good team. And they're learning. Maybe they'll get it together this week against the Bengals. So for everybody here at thenewamericanmedia.com and the TNAM Radio Network, this has been a presentation of Strictly Browns on the Unhappy Hour. I'm your host, Brian Engelman. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_. Go on Facebook, search The New American Media, and like our page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New American Media. Until next time, folks, keep rooting on Cleveland. One of these years, we're going to win a championship, and it's going to be sweet. Don't lose faith. If you've come this far, keep rooting. One of these days, we're bringing home a title. Take care.